First released in 2005, Resident Evil 4 quickly became a fan favorite thanks to its gripping storyline, intense and genre-defying gameplay, and survival horror elements. 18 years later, Capcom has brought back the horror in action in stunning new detail, with updated graphics and gameplay mechanics that are sure to thrill both old and new fans of the series. Please note that this isn't going to be a video review where I talk about how I like this version of Resident Evil 4 more than the original game, because they are both similar and different. But this video will mostly cover my personal perspective and impressions on Resident Evil 4 Remake. So, with all that said, grab your weapons and get ready to face the horrors that await you in
Resident Evil 4.
To start off, let's talk about the story. Resident Evil 4 Remake follows the story of Leon S. Kennedy, a US government agent who is tasked with rescuing the president's daughter, Ashley Graham, from a mysterious cult in a rural European village. As Leon investigates the village, he discovers that the cult is involved in a sinister plot that involves a parasitic organism known as Las Plagas. Along the way, Leon encounters a cast of familiar, unique characters, including researcher Luis Serra, the villainous Ramon Salazar, and Osman Sadler, and fan favorites like Ada Wong and the Merchant. As the story progresses, Leon must fight his way through the hordes of infected villagers and monstrous creatures to uncover the truth behind the cult's plans to save Ashley before it's too late, while also dealing with his own personal past trauma. The game's story is filled with twists and turns, keeping the player on the edge of their seats as they unravel the mystery behind Las Plagas and the cult that worships them. One thing that I absolutely enjoyed about the story of Resident Evil 4 Remake, and Resident Evil 4 in general, is how fleshed out the characters are. I really enjoyed the characters in the original game, and Remake sort of reminded me of that again in this game. Some characters like Louis and Ashley feel more alive and relatable in some situations, and Leon and other characters speak significantly more outside of the cutscene in this game compared to the original, which sort of lends itself to getting more into the characters' personalities. Enemies and bosses are also significantly improved and fleshed out, and feel more fun to battle than ever before. Villagers and other enemies have bigger arsenal of weapons and attacks, and boss fights again feel more fleshed out and engaging than ever before. It really forces you to use all of Leon's tools to progress through the game. Next up, let's talk about gameplay, and we'll start with exploration. As the player, you get to control Leon and navigate through various environments, such as villages, castles, laboratories, searching for clues, items, and weapons to progress through the story. Players can also interact with objects such as doors, windows, ladders, crates, and barrels, and even ride in small boats. And like every Resident Evil game, there are puzzles, and there are many of them. The puzzles range from simple item collection to more complex tasks, like sitting in a particular seat at a dining table to get an important key item. I actually enjoyed some of the new puzzles, and at times preferred them over the classic puzzles from the OG game. The classic attaché case is also back, and feels just as familiar as the OG game. One of the things I personally loved about the new attaché case is that you can equip different versions that have different perks. One case gives you chances for more pistol ammo drops, while others give you a chance to get more resource drops. You can now also save organizing time by auto-sorting items, which is a nice quality of life change that is very welcomed. You can also store some of your weapons and attachments in the storage unit in the typewriter. The game also added fun charms, which grants the player perks like more health from a green herb or make Leon run faster. The combat was also absolutely fantastic. Similar to the OG, players encounter various enemies such as villagers, monks, or cultists, and creatures infected by the parasitic organism called Las Plagas. Combat is primarily focused on shooting, and players can also use a variety of weapons such as pistols, shotguns, and grenades to defeat enemies. The best weapon of all, though, that honestly saved my ass through many tough situations, is Leon's combat knife. Compared to the OG, where the knife was mostly used to break crates and barrels for mostly loot and ammo, and occasionally kill knockdown enemies, the knife in the remake is used in so many different ways. Leon can now parry enemy attacks. That's right, he can do like third strike parries in this game. He can stab enemies in the back. You can also parry projectiles as well. The only thing is, it has a durability meter, so if you use too much of it, it will break on you, and you as the player have to wait until you see the merchant to restore it. However, you can upgrade the knife to have more durability. All that said, if you don't have your handy dandy knife at all times during exploration, as Leon, you can still interact with barrels and crates and even break glass windows with Leon's elbow for loot and ammo. The iconic merchant is also back and has way more personality than ever before. Compared to his iconic OG version, the merchant has way more dialogue and really does a good job of selling his products. The shop still remains fun and interesting. The upgrading system is still intact, giving players options on what guns and weapons they want to upgrade. All the new side quests are all directly linked to the merchant. So, as you travel around the game, you'll find these blue sheets attached to the walls and doors, and on them give you side quests. Completing these side quests give you unique currency called spinels, which in the OG game used to be the least expensive loot you can find, but now are used to trade for some pretty unique items. All in all, a wonderful change. The shooting range is back, and boy is it impressive. Compared to the OG, where the game mode focused more on headshots for points and, I don't know, at times felt a little bit boring, this shooting range feels more realized and fleshed out and honestly feels a lot more fun, with some really cool surprises. The way Leon moves has also been improved. Leon is no longer restricted to over-the-shoulder tank controls, but can now move in all directions, and players now have access to a full 360 camera, whereas in the OG game, Leon was only restricted to only looking left and right. Leon also has access to a crouch mechanic, where it allows him to crouch under enemies, which is good for dodging particular enemy grabs, or particular moments when you are trying to sneak and stab a Ganado or cultist in the back or in the neck. Leon feels fluid and even interacts with the environment as well. If he runs into a wall, Leon will stick his hands out. If he encounters something gross looking, he will react to it. When he gets hit by an enemy, he will stagger for a bit and then recover. It's these small things that make the game and the character feel more alive. In terms of the difficulty, I did my first playthrough on hardcore, which honestly was challenging and fun. The game even says that hardcore is for those who have played the original game, which I thought was a nice nod and feature. There's also assisted difficulty and standard difficulty as well. There's also professional difficulty, which you can only unlock after beating the game, which is truly tough on a fresh new playthrough as you can't autosave, and parrying enemies is limited to only perfect parrying. In terms of the visual and audio design of the game, it's RE Engine at its absolute best. The game is absolutely gorgeous on both console and PC, and the audio in the game is absolutely impressive. All of the areas look and feel more alive than ever, and the castle was absolutely stunning to look at. My gosh, that castle. The lighting in the game is absolutely fantastic, and just the pure fidelity of the characters and the enemies are out of this world. The game really does make you feel like you are in a rural part of the world, all by yourself, in a land full of mind-controlled creatures who are out to kill you. Walking through the areas while hearing villagers yelling and threatening to kill you kept me on the edge of my seat. Not to mention the atmospheric sounds were incredible as well. Overall, in my opinion, Resident Evil 4 is by far the best looking RE Engine game on the market. In terms of replayability, Remake remains just as faithful as the OG game. This time though, it offers in-game challenges to keep players wanting to go back to unlock items, cosmetics, and other goodies, similarly to Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. I'm already on my 6th playthrough, and the game still feels fun and exciting. In terms of DLC, there isn't any at the moment, but there is Mercenaries mode coming later this week, which I'm extremely excited about. There have also been some talks about some future DLC coming in the near future. Let's transition a bit and let's spend a little bit of time talking about some of the things that I didn't enjoy about Resident Evil 4 Remake. And honestly, there isn't really many, but there are some minor gripes that I do have with the game. One is, I didn't like that you couldn't store ammo and other items in your storage section at the typewriter. For some reason, you can only store weapons and attachments. It would have been nice not to discard particular health items or particular ammo or gunpowder, as, you know, I wanted to save some of those things in the storage in case I ran out of it. Another is that most of the items and ammo that you find in crates and barrels are completely random. So in certain tight situations, when you thought a certain crate or barrel would drop ammo, it would drop money instead, which, I don't know, got a little bit frustrating in some of those tough parts on playing on hardcore. The last gripe that I have with the game is that I thought some of the characters could have been slightly more fleshed out. Like characters like Ada, I felt like we didn't get to see a whole bunch of, but I'm sure we'll get to see her again, and we'll get to see her story fully fleshed out, just like Separate Ways in the OG in a future DLC. In conclusion, Resident Evil 4 Remake is pretty damn impressive. The game keeps you on your toes with its twists and turns, and the characters are memorable and well written, just like the OG game. The narrative structure is also tight and well crafted, with the story unfolding in a way that keeps you invested from start to finish. All of the quality of life changes make Resident Evil 4 Remake feel better than ever, and make it one of the best Resident Evil games of all time. The fact that Capcom was even able to remake one of the greatest games of all time, and somehow make it just as fun, if not better than the OG game, is truly remarkable. And honestly, that's what it is. It's Resident Evil 4, but just fully realized, and I guess more complete. Overall, I'd say that Resident Evil 4 Remake is definitely worth playing, even if you're not a fan of action, horror, and survival games. I'm giving this game a 10 out of 10, and yeah, it's an absolute masterpiece. So, that's my review of Resident Evil 4 Remake. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful, but now I want to hear from you. Have you played the game yet? What did you think of it? Did you agree with my review, or did you have a completely different experience? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm always interested in hearing different perspectives and engaging in conversations and discussions about games, so don't be shy. Whether you loved the game or had some issues with it, I want to hear from you. So, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's have a conversation. Take care, stay safe, and stay motivated.